You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio. I am your host, Rick Thompson. This show is about sobriety and recovery. Each week, we discuss a different topic relating to addiction with the aim that you can gain some insight, guidance, and hope from our discussions. We focus the show in 3 different segments. 1, the viewpoint of the families dealing with the family members suffering from alcoholism and addiction, so they may assist them in obtaining treatment. 2, the psychological trauma and emotional damage alcoholics and addicts and their families experience. 3, the role of the insurance companies and associate providers and their part in the recovery process.
Good evening and welcome to the broadcast. Tonight we have a show that can be a life-changing experience for you if you pay attention long enough. We have a special guest in the studio. He's a good friend of mine, and I feel very fortunate to have him here because it took a lot of guts for him to do this. John S. Good evening, John. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Richard. I feel privileged to be here.
Can you please share with our audience your story and how you arrived at the place where you wanted to change your life and get sober?
Sure. Started out at 8 years old with picking up a beer that was on the table around Christmas time. It was my dad's, and it was just because I wanted something to drink. I didn't know what it was, and it was funny. But that was my first drink. I didn't know what it was or what I was doing, but that was the first one.
How old were you?
10, 8 or 10, something like that. And so after that, school was hard. I couldn't concentrate, and looked out the window a lot. And I just knew that I had the ism, from that age, that ism. No alcohol yet, but I had the ism all over the place. And anyway, everybody drank in high school. Didn't like drinking. Drank soda instead. And then it just switched. Somebody made fun of me for bringing home soda. They said, where's the beer? I said, beer? So anyway, I decided to give that a shot.
So did this happen repeatedly where you would come in and you would bring in soda pop or something like that, and everybody else would be drinking beer and they'd look at you like you were retarded?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't mind it, and then I tried it and tried changing to beer, and it was all right. It was all right. It made everything go a little smoother. And when you're young, it's not really, you don't drink much, and then nothing really happens, so it's not a problem. It just cancels itself out. Then when I was 18, with the band and everything, and then the Coke started. And
now, tell us a little bit about the band. You were in as a musician. You were playing out.
Yeah, I was. Started out doing that pretty young.
How old were you when you started playing music?
12.
Garage band?
Garage. Basement in those days. And it was very fun. We weren't, nobody was getting loaded. Didn't connect those two together yet. Anyways, by the time 18...
What year was this?
75, okay. 74, 75. And then 76 played, 77 played, and then 78 to 80 went on the road with a copy band, and then it was drinking beer and doing speed the pills that you could buy and in the mail. And
what time? How old were you when you started taking speed?
18.
Okay. Did you start smoking marijuana or anything prior to that?
No, I did, but I hated it. Still hate it.
Okay.
Can't smoke it.
So your whole thing was like booze and speed.
Yeah, that was it. Mostly beer. I don't like hard liquor. Mm-hmm. And if I touch it, then it's a disaster. I never touched heroin because I know that would be a complete disaster. And I didn't think beer and some blow every now and then wouldn't be too bad, but
of course not.
But over 35 years, it starts to catch up with you. So,
yeah, that's
part of it. And along the way, as you can imagine, the demoralization of the things that happen, of everything slowly disappearing and slipping away, and you don't realize it.
When was your first or your earliest recollection of when that kind of an incident would come to fruition?
When first it was fun, then it was fun with problems, then it was just problems, and I didn't know how to fix it or how to change it. And when that was, I was when I was 28, it probably started. I tried to have a relationship, and I did for 25 years. And but I drank all through it, thinking that, hey, it's just it's just weekends, and hey, what's the big deal? It's just every day after work and weekends. What's the problem?
Right. Okay. Did you have what kind of a relationship did you have with your parents and your siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother.
Okay.
And he reminded me a couple months ago that I was the first one that gave him a line of cocaine. So he had to remind me about. And I was like, hey, I did. I didn't realize I did, but always got along with my dad. Always got along with my mom. They were weekend partiers, and then during the week didn't. And they had their own lives. She was acting, and he was running the business. So they didn't spend much time together. What
kind of business was he in?
He was painting.
Okay, and she was an actress.
And
go ahead.
And they just had their own. They did their own thing. They didn't hang out much.
How did you feel when your brother had told you that you gave him his first line of cocaine?
Felt horrible. Felt like, what a big loser. It's like, really? And the thing is, I had to be reminded of it because I'd forgotten about it.
Why do you think that is? Because you put it out of your mind, or because you have maybe...
No, that's... It's just... I gave a lot of people... Everybody gave everybody coke in 81 and 82. Mm-hmm. I don't know... so that it was just the thing to do at the time. Watch Scarface and
you could snort cocaine and get paranoid and look out the window.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The window.
The
tinfoil and all that.
Yeah, and the guy behind the tree with the badge and the dog and the helicopters. Those are always fun.
You're nailing it.
Oh, I've been there, done that. We've all have. Anybody that's lived through this and survived. What's your relationship like with your brother today?
It's good. It's better than it's ever been, really. I just talked to him today when he got off the plane and told him what I was going to do and today, and been doing what I've been doing, and we get along really good like that.
Okay. How long have you been sober this time?
A couple days.
Okay. You got 2 days? And you've been in and out of the program, the 12-step program, since 1988, is that right?
At least. No, I believe it's more 1993.
Okay.
And that's the part that is hard to talk about, because I think about how a person such as yourself and a lot of other friends that I know put together the 28 years, the 30 years, and how frustrating it's getting for me now that I've wasted all that time playing with this thing and not being able to get and stay on the beam, and it's very frustrating, and the more time that goes by, the more frustrating it gets, because it's like, well, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it, or it's either, now it's just with this disease, it's just the disease and myself. There's nobody around to blame anymore. There's nobody around to put it on. It's me and this addiction. It's either arrest it and keep it arrested, or it's going to kill you. And it's like, it's a tough pill to swallow for me, because that's really where it's at, and it's quite extremely frustrating.
Been to a lot of funerals this year too, from guys drinking themselves to death, and people that we know. Two, just right off the top of my head, and I liked both of these guys, and a lot of people I know are dead because of this disease, and I've had a lot of realizations in the last 5 years. I didn't believe that this disease could kill you. I didn't believe it could wreck your life. Didn't believe that it could take everything away from you. I didn't believe that it wanted to get you in a room alone and kill you. And it took this 28 years to even believe that. And just to actually really believe it. Well, you've been to enough funerals, and you sit around the room as often as I've seen you, and you watch these guys go in, go out. You listen to their stories, and the one thing that I've noticed is they're not willing to put this first before anything else. That's how I've stayed sober, man. This is number one. Everything else is secondary, period. Because if not, then I'm a stone cold alcoholic and a drug addict, just like you are. I'll be dead within 6 months.
I agree with you on that point. I was telling a couple of people in that room that I'd have been dead 28 years ago if I didn't find that room or find the rooms. That I have been given the gift of being able to hang on, because I definitely would have been out the door 28 years ago, because everybody that I knew 28 years ago is gone, pretty much, except for the normal people that I knew.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you respect this disease? Do you respect it?
Partially. I don't want to touch heroin because I know that's going to kill me. I don't want to do any speed because that's going to kill me. I don't want to do blow, but sometimes I have. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to smoke weed because I can't do that. Don't want to drink hard liquor because I'm going to smash into people on the freeway. But then I go, well, I could have a beer, and then it turns into 2, and then it turns, and then 3 or 4. 3 or 4 is the minimum.
Right.
12, 15 is the maximum. And
15. Listen to that number you just put out there like it was nothing. 15. See, the thing that I learned is that as soon as my head tells me something's okay, it's not fucking okay. It's going to kill me, because the thing that I have ingrained into my spine is that I have 2 ways to go in this thing. I either am going to be on the embalming table or I'm going to be off the embalming table. That is it for us, man. There's no middle. The middle ground is what you're doing right now. You're just destroying yourself day by day by day by day. Every time that you think you can have one, that's your alcoholism fucking with you. Because this thing is, and I'm going to take a quote from my sponsor, it is the most crushing disease on the face of this earth, next to cancer, is alcoholism, because it hits you so many different ways. It hits your brain, it hits your soul, and it takes good men and good women and turns them into animals, complete animals. And everybody's running from something, and this situation, watching my father and my mother go from this, I learned that that's who I am, and I have to accept it, and I didn't want to go out like that. And this takes away, by the process of the 12 steps, takes away all of the power out of all of the things that have happened to us, no matter how bad that they are. And I believe that the only reason that people stay It's because they're scared to death, because they know they're going to die. If we make one wrong move, it's like I can't have a quarter of a pint of ice cream, right? Okay, it's the same trip. It's the same thing. It's like we are addicts. We are just addicts in everything that we do. Everything we do alcoholically, because that's how we're wired, and we can't outthink it. We cannot outthink this disease. And the one thing that I've noticed, you're a good man. That's why you're the only guy that I've ever had on here with no time, because I respect you and I love you, and I think that you're a good man, and you're definitely, without question, worth saving, because I think you can save a lot of lives.
I appreciate that more than you know. I really do. I do. I don't deserve to be here, but I'm glad you.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Fuck yes, you may. Of course you do. You deserve to be able to walk in there every day. The thing is you don't believe that you do, and everybody has that self-esteem issue. We all do. When you get beaten into the floor, man, and you're looking in the mirror and you're looking at somebody, you're not even sure who it is anymore, and you can't even remember where the nightmare started anymore. That's a scary place, because there's only two ways you're going to go there. Where for me, I was either going to put a shotgun in my mouth, which I almost did, or I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to say, it ain't them. It's me. And start taking responsibility for the things I've done, and start taking responsibility for my life now, this second, and move forward. Because everything that's happened up till now, John, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Period. It's gone. It's ancient history. The people are gone. The experiences are gone. Maybe some lessons we're learning that you can hang on to those and maybe pass them on to somebody else. But all of that other shit is gone. All you've got right now, and we're at the end game of our lives. We got to maybe about another 25 if we're lucky. Right?
That is the exact scary part of it, which brings me to the frustration part of it. It's like you know, come on, man, it's chapter 3. I mean, either start fixing it or don't bother. It's like, and so that's what when you mentioned this to me, you know, I love going to the meetings. I love the camaraderie in hearing the stories and listening and love, and being sober is great too. I dig it. But the disease part just is too strong sometimes, and have to learn skills and get help. You know, use the help that's offered. You know, that it took everything to come here today. It's like heads telling me, oh, you know, you don't have to do anything. You just. But if I don't do anything, then nothing happens. I just I want it. It took every ounce of strength to get here today.
I'm glad you showed up. We're going to be back in just a second.
I would like to take a moment and talk to you about the Villa Treatment Center. Their integrated substance abuse and dual diagnoses program rests on foundational principles of personal responsibility, structure, and service. Whether you are at the beginning of your recovery journey or farther along the road, the Villa Treatment Center offers an individual plan to suit all of your recovery needs. Detoxification by doctors specializing in addiction medicine, residential treatment, transitional living, day treatment, and full care outpatient services are available. Please call 818-505-6900 for further information. That's 818-505-6900 and begin your recovery now. The website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.latalkradio.com. Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is on Channel 1. We are broadcasting live from our studios every Sunday at 6 p.m. West Coast time. All of our shows are archived on the www.latalkradio.com site and can be accessed 24/7. Our call number is 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815. And now back to our show.
Just for the record, we have a brand new website. It's www.liferepairrtr.com. That's www.liferepairrtr.com. Okay, we're back with John in the studio. John, what were the specific pivotal points and determining factors that actually led you into the initial path of recovery when you first started this?
I was 1993, and I was crack was big at the time, and I tried that. And after a few weeks, you realize that that's not a good thing to do. And then the earthquake hit in '94, and still did it a little bit. And had to move and pick up and get somewhere else to live and everything, because the house got pretty badly tore up. And then my relationship with my son's mom just just got horrible because of what I was doing. And I knew that it was bad. Drinking and drugging is just bad. And so I had reached out, and my brother had told me where to go. He was like, "Hey, come and see us. You just come and check it out." So yeah, I'll check it out. And then,
so your brother's sober?
Yeah.
How long?
About 6 years now.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went, and it was fun. It was cool. There wasn't fluorescent lights. There wasn't just all the other things. It was just a meeting in a bar, and I just related to it, and so I liked it. But I thought, well, it's pretty cool. But after 3 months, I feel pretty good now, and I don't need that anymore. I'm good now, cool now. And then, as you know, the roller coaster, you end up right back worse.
Because you're listening to your disease.
Right.
And you're buying it.
Exactly. Hook, line, and sinker.
Are you aware of the fact that anything that comes out of your head's not you? It's the disease talking to you?
No.
Well, it is. It's a sneaky fucker. It is, man. It's bad news because it wants you in a casket. It doesn't want you to be happy. It doesn't want you to have a nice girlfriend. It doesn't want you to have a home, security, love, nurturing. It doesn't want any of that. It wants you dead. It wants to destroy you and everything around you. It is the closest thing to the evil, the purest form of evil I've ever witnessed. It tore my family to shreds. It's tearing people apart right now. My brother's sitting in a car drinking himself to death at 68 years old right now. Okay? So, yeah. And it'll happen to you, and I don't want to see it happen to you.
It's an undeniable fact that a little bit more goes away every day, and I'm starting to see it, and it's very, very scary, very, very scary.
In reference to the steps, at what point did you begin to work them, and how long did it take you to finish them? With that in mind, can you explain how your 12-step program has helped you with your recovery?
I got, in 1996, I got a sponsor named Wayne, and I really wanted to work these steps. I didn't know what they were. I couldn't memorize anything. I just knew that I needed to buy this book, and I made it up to the 4th step, and it was a bunch of pages, and I did it. I did it the best I could, and read it to him and everything, and stayed sober for a couple of years, a little over 2 years. Got these wonderful chips, made a lot of friends. Everything was pretty good, and I just drifted off, stopped going to meetings. And
what were you thinking when you made that decision to walk away? What was going through your head?
You just think that, well, I'm fixed now. I went to the gym. I exercised. I'm good. I ate the right stuff, and now I can have my cheeseburger. I mean, so to speak.
Right. And how long did you usually get in the program? How long were you sober and clean before that would happen?
Just the longest was 2.5 years. I remember just about to pick up a third chip, and I don't know. There's a million excuses, and when it's real hot out or it's 120, 110 degrees, and I gotta have a beer, and there's just no way around it, and it's just all lies. But these are the kind of the lies that I bought into, and then ridiculous peer pressure, or if by some miracle I made some money, then it was any excuse, any
right.
excuse. And then I don't know how, but I managed to get a few things that normal people get, like a house and cars and stuff and toys, and then I thought I arrived. I thought, well, we're all good now. I have everything that I'm supposed to have, mm-hmm. right down to the pop-up sprinklers and
mm-hmm.
and food in the fridge and cars and just all the bills I'm able to pay, and then that it just went downhill. You can't.
Did it go downhill because you decided to get loaded?
Yes.
Okay. What did that tell you?
Well, I definitely knew I had a problem when I came out of Food for Less dripping blood all the way from the bathroom to the front door, and all the cashiers are looking at me like, and I didn't know what was wrong. I had no idea. And then I got to the truck and realized, man, you got to do something about this. You can't just keep going like that. It's not working. And so then I would go back. I'd just drive across town and go back to the meeting and just sit there and start over.
Mm-hmm.
And and go through that absolute hell of starting over and going through all the withdrawals and shakes and stuff that goes through your head.
So you would detox on your own without any medical assistance?
Many times.
That's very dangerous. You're lucky you're alive, because most people don't even make it through the detox.
I would remember lying in bed for 2.5 days just sweating, and
right,
and thinking that, well, that's just normal. A lot of people do that.
No, they don't. They don't do that. People that are that sick usually, hopefully, will have somebody around that sees that and tries to get them into a detox so they're medically detoxed properly, and then put them into a situation like we tried to do with you that one time. Not trying to throw anything in your face, but when we try to get you into treatment, and it's when you don't have insurance, it's really a nightmare.
That day I did go, and I remember.
So I told you how to do it. All you got to do is, for those who are listening, and no one's going to like me saying this, but I really don't give a shit. If you don't have any money and you want to get sober, you walk into an emergency room, you tell them you're having a heart attack, the guy take you in. And then when you go in there and they got all the people around you and you tell them that you're an alcoholic, they have to detox you by law.
I knew I remembered half of what you told me that morning, and I went in there and I was happy that I did. As hard as that was, I was happy that I did, because...
And you were gone in 4 hours? Howard told me 4 hours, our good friend Howard.
Well, yeah, they kick you out. They kick you out. Just 4 hours, you're out, no matter what. They don't want you there. So...
well, the thing is, if you threaten to sue them, they won't kick you out.
Oh, yeah,
well, now you know.
I don't know. They didn't know the game, but...
That's the game, to stay alive.
And then I remember...
That's the end game.
It was a $5,000 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So
they sent you a bill?
Yeah.
Did they?
So it just
$5,000 for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it makes you think it's been paying that off, and haven't been back there since, or had one of those episodes of withdrawing like that, and thank God. So life is good today.
Okay, so you've got 48 hours clean and sober, right? You haven't had a drink.
I haven't had any drugs since
What about
September 22nd?
Okay, so what about booze?
That's just 2 days ago.
All right. Do you call your sponsor every day?
No, but I text them.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's great. Checking in.
Right?
Checking in, still alive, not dead. Yeah, that ain't going to work, man. You got to physically call them. And usually they get pissed and they just give up on you. Some of them do. Some of them don't. Mine's a nightmare. I've got more time than he does, but he's a nightmare. He's unreal. He's like a wet blanket, and I love him to death. We become like brothers because I know this guy loves me. He's got 9 years, and I've got coming up on 24, and I picked this guy because I knew this guy was a genuine article, and he wasn't going to take any of my shit. And that's the kind of cat that you and I, because you and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways, man. That's why I've always liked you. You got to get a guy that's not going to listen to it. They're going to go, what? Click. And then you got to call them back. And then sooner or later, then when you get to a point where you're real, and they know you're just broken enough to where you might listen, then they stand next to you and they walk you through hell. And that's what you got to do. And it's no fun, man. Anybody that's got the kind of time that I've got, we've all had to do it. And it's the hardest thing I ever did, but I swear to God, it was the smartest move I ever made in my life. If I never make another dime in my life, and this is as good as it ever gets, this is cool. Seriously.
I must agree with you on that aspect of the program. My priorities of material things and status and where I'm supposed to be in my head, I don't care about any of those things anymore. It's not important.
All right, well, let me ask you a question. When you, emotionally, where are you when that thought comes to your mind? It's okay to have a drink. It's okay to just do this. It's fine. It's with all of the things that you've already been through and all of the nightmares that you've been through repeatedly with the same decision. Where are you emotionally when you make that decision?
It's usually if my back is up against the wall because I don't know where the next payment is going to come from, or what job is going to come next, or what kind of income, or what's going to happen, or what's going to get shut off, or what's going to get taken away.
So in other words, you're going to play God, because if you don't, you have to control everything. Have you ever thought that maybe if you just let it go and just let it happen, that it'd all work out? You ever trusted anybody enough to do that?
I have, and there's somebody else in the meeting says, well, what happened at the end? He goes, nothing, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, well, then why are you wasting all that energy going on the hamster wheel when you don't have to? And every time, the baffling thing for me is the disease is cunning and baffling, because when I work it works just wonderfully. Right. But if you don't, then man, it's like everything. Nothing goes right. I mean, you can get through, but you don't have to go at it that hard. Just to
got to give yourself a chance, man. You got to give yourself a break. You're your worst enemy. I mean, we all are. We beat ourselves up so much. It's if someone treated us the way we treat ourselves, they'd be indicted for attempted murder. It's truth.
Brilliantly put.
It's accurate.
Brilliantly
and a woman told me that when I was living in Akron when I first got sober in '87, and she said that to me, and it was just like somebody hit me upside the head with a baseball bat. I came to and I went, she's right. What am I doing this for? Why am I abusing myself when a lot of the things that I'm doing to not feel, I had nothing to do with the original scenario that created this issue that I think I have, which I really don't even have. That's where the mind screws come in. And it's. I'll tell you what. You've had 2 years. Did you work the steps, all 12 of them, thoroughly? Did you really work a fourth and fifth step and cough it all up, vomit up every horrible fucking thing that you've been through in your life?
No, I did it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it wasn't my sponsor's fault. He did the best he could. Mm-hmm. I tried to do it the best I could. So later on, I did it again, and I don't remember what happened with it after that. I must have did it. I did it, and then probably went out again.
My personal experience is that when I did my first, fourth, and fifth step, I coughed up every single thing, everything. Take it to the grave, everything. And that's why I'm sober right now. I have no secrets.
My problem is I don't remember all of them.
You will if you do the steps. The steps will start bringing things up. They'll start triggering your brain. And then all of a sudden your memory banks start opening up a little bit. There's stuff that's stuffed inside of you because you, as an alcoholic, what we do is we tend to compartmentalize our feelings and compartmentalize information. We're very good about that. And then we drink over top of it so the lid doesn't come off. Right? So if you know, sooner or later, man, the lid's going to come off and you're going to freak. And if you haven't got the right guys around you and you aren't doing this thing and you haven't got the right sponsor, you're fucked. You're going to go right back out again because there's just no other way to go because you almost set yourself up for it subconsciously. But if you've got somebody around there that's looking you in the eyeball, say, look, man, all you got to do is A, B, C, D. Shut up. A, B, C, D. Shut up. And just do these real simple things. Your life will change. And a lot of guys like me, I went, that's bullshit. It'll never happen. It happens. You've seen it happen. I mean, we know guys that are miserable bastards that are filthy rich, been famous, and who would want that? But that cat or cats, they stay sober, right?
That is the one thing that they have. That's and probably that's the most important thing. I want to ask
you one question. I know you've been straight and honest with me, but I want you to answer this specific question as honestly as you can, and take your time and think about this. Why do you honestly feel that it has been so difficult for you to stay sober during these past years?
Because of the hardest part of the program is to be honest. It says it. That's step one is being honest, and to be absolutely, completely, 100% crystal clear honest has always been my problem. I can get 99%. I can get 99.9%. At least. Sometimes I don't believe I could ever do 100%. I should be able to.
Oh, I think you can. I think that you have to realize, first of all, that you are broken, as we all are when we're there, and that we've gone insane, because no sane man is going to live like this. No sane person is going to live like this. They just don't. You know, and that was the hardest thing I had to come. It seems like we have a caller, so we're going to take this call. Hello, welcome to Life Repair. Who are we talking to?
Hi, Rick. It's Tim.
Well, hello, Tim. It's Tim. It's our friend Tim. We haven't heard from Tim in a while. Well, Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great tonight. Is my buddy John on tonight?
Say hello, John.
Hi, Tim. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear you, pal. I love you.
Love you too, man.
Man, it's good to hear you. I'm just glad you're there. I'm glad you're there and putting your story out there for people to hear. How long have I known you now? I've been coming around 18 years. Haven't I known you that amount of time?
I remember when you were called Lou.
Yeah.
I remember that. They called you Lou, not Tim.
Yeah. Herb called me Lou for the first 4 years.
Herb's probably calling a lot of people Lou because Herb's half senile.
a lot of people. Hey, you.
Hey, you.
Hey, nuthead. Come on over here.
You, come here.
Anyway, I'm glad you're there tonight, John. I'm worried about you. I need you in my life. You know how messed up my life is and the crap I'm going through.
You go through.
And I worry about you when I don't see you for a few days.
Well, you go through
You're
a lot,
a
man.
good guy, and I love you. And you're part of my sobriety, and I need you to be there for me, just like I want to be there for you. Rick, I love you too, pal. I love your show.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it very much. He's a good man. We've been talking to him, trying to pull some information out of him. You know, it's not as complicated as one would think, you know, to do this.
You know, it's you know, thank God I have found this to be an easy program, because as I've told you a million times, I'm a dumbbell cartoonist from Burbank. That's all I ever was. That's all I ever wanted to be. And thank God I don't need to know any more than just don't drink, don't use, don't run, one day at a time, no matter what.
That's it.
And it works.
It does work.
You know, it's that simple. It's when I try to complicate it that it doesn't work. And thank God I can't complicate it too often, because I'm not smart enough to complicate it.
That's right.
But I love you two guys. I really don't have much more to say other than, John, I'm so happy you're there, and I'm hoping that you get some good information out of some callers and good stuff, and that I see you tomorrow or the next day, because I love you, pal, and I want to be there for you, and I want you there for me, buddy.
I appreciate that more than you know, man.
I love you, buddy. You have a great night tonight, Rick. You have a great show. I love you, and I want to see you.
Yes, sir. I'll show up.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Have a great show tonight. Good night, you guys.
Good night,
Tim.
Tim. Thanks for calling in. See, there you go.
He's great, man. He's a great artist as well.
Yes, he is. And so are you. So let's go back to that question before. Let's go back to, why do you honestly feel that it's been so difficult for you to stay sober during all these past years? What's the one thing you think that's the trigger for you? The honest-to-God trigger that makes you just go ahead and decide, let your alcoholism run your life?
Yeah. A blank comes in. A blank. Just blank. Blank.
Do you think that you've got some emotional or some mental issues connected with this? I'm not cutting you down. I'm just asking, do you think that you've slipped a little bit over the years of using and drinking?
Don't know. I don't know. I wonder about it. I say, you know, shouldn't you be a little farther along? You know, in a career, shouldn't you be here? Shouldn't you be a little bit more?
That's your disease talking to you, John. That's not your head. Your disease wants you destroyed. So it's going to tell you that you're not worthy. You should be doing this. This should happen. You're exactly where you're supposed to be at this moment right now. It's wake-up time. This is where you're supposed to be, is where you are right now. And the hardest thing I ever had to learn from my first sponsor is, if you want to know where the hell you're supposed to be standing, look at where your feet are and shut up. And I said, okay. You know, these were old crusty dudes. These were old Southern crusty drunks, man. That just, you know, they didn't want to hear any kind of new age bullshit. It was all in the book. That is it. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. And that's how I've stayed sober all this year. And you can do the same thing. And, you know, the one thing that I'll say to you, and we both know who your sponsor is. I don't know him that well. If you haven't got a guy that's on your ass 24 hours a day, then you need to go get somebody that is, because you're in trouble. And if that guy's not calling you or telling you to go get somebody else, then he's not doing his job. Period. This is life and death. This is life and death. This is either you being in the casket or sitting here talking to me. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to end up in the casket. And a lot of people are going to get hurt. Your family's going to be broken over this. You can't let that happen. If your brother can get sober, you can get sober. But you've got to make a decision, man. What's more important? Growing? Because we're only, as far as we all know, we're only here for 15 minutes, right? And then we're gone. So while we're here, I think it's prudent that we all try to find out, to the best of our ability, who we are, what we want out of life spiritually. Why are we here? We figure that out to the best of our knowledge and try to help another human being or two or three or five. You know, other than that, it's all bullshit. How many record awards you have on the wall, how many millions you got in the bank, how much stuff you own, cars, chicks, the whole thing. It's all bullshit. Because at the end of the day, when you're an old man and you're sitting there and you're knowing that your time is limited, that's the time that any man or any woman is going to reflect on what they've done. Have they been of service to another human being? Have they been of love, of passion, of care, and help somebody else? I think that you ought to give yourself a little bit of a break. You're a really good man. But whatever is broken you, and we're all broken, man, when we walk in here. Our hearts are ripped out of the frame. You've seen a lot of guys that have walked through whatever they've had to walk through. Why don't you give yourself a chance? Give yourself a chance, man. You're worth it.
And life is good. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. There's, like you were saying, to get out of your head, do something for somebody else. And that probably is the most gratifying thing. Howard and I saw a couple people this morning, and they were freezing cold, needed a little bit of help, and just to be able to help them this morning was really great. It's just so riding on that, just those little things get out of my head.
How'd you feel after you did that?
Wonderful, because I know what it's like to be cold and hungry and broke. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And at 6 a.m, I know what that's like, and you feel like nobody cares, and you're all alone, and so yeah, to be able to do that, because there's been many times when I haven't had $5. I just have a bunch of pennies, and you want a cup of coffee, or you want a beer, and you only have a bunch of pennies. So it was a good morning. It was a good day. It's been a good day today.
Why don't you hang on to that and see if you can build on it? Because you don't have to get loaded tonight, man. All you got to do is make it till midnight.
That's what I just looked at.
Right? You're good, man. You've got just a few hours, and you're golden. It's all good. Right?
You saw me looking.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do it all day long. You think every day I look at it and say, I'm okay until midnight. And it's all good. John, I want to thank you for coming on tonight and being as honest as you have been. And again, I think it took a lot of guts for you to come up here and do this. I don't know many people that would have done it.
I want to thank you for letting me come. I really appreciate it.
But I think I think you're on your way back. I really do. And I've always got your back, and Tim's got your back. And, maybe we can build on that. Okay?
I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, buddy. We're at the end of this week's show, but make sure to tune in next week for another hour of Brutally Honest Recovery Talk Radio. The brand new website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.liferepairrtr.com. That's www.liferepairrtr.com. Our mission is to provide a safe platform for those who are still suffering from various forms of addiction. We're just people willing to listen and offer suggestions to help those that are in crises. If you see somebody suffering, don't wince and go, God, that's terrible. Go do something about it. Help them. If we all lived that way, this place would be a lot more interesting to live in. And we wouldn't be whining at each other because some guy won the presidency and some woman didn't. And with that, I will leave you now with some words of wisdom from the late, great John Flynn.
Disappointment is the caboose on the choo-choo train of expectation. Anything you want from anybody, you give them what you want from them. It's the only way you're going to get it. Life is about giving, not getting, day at a time.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for listening. We'll see you here next week. Good night and good luck.
You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.